Y'all better leave that boy alone, Errol Spence. Hey, stop that cat, man down, big fish. He says this boxing ish is not for the weak of heart, the weak and the uncommitted. Ahead of his Manny Pacquiao fight, I want to. It's up to my promoter. I will be fighting. Let's get into it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. I encourage and welcome you all to the channel. I am your host, Ego. Encourage you to hit the like button, share the video. These are great ways to help the channel continue growth. Listen, what I got here is different. This is the boxing family, La Costa Nostra. Let me out. I don't know why I thought of that. But shout out to Bow Wow and Soldier Boy. Yeah, throw a like on there. Errol Spence. He posted this picture of him in the gym, six packed up. Let's read the quote. Errol Spence says, and I quote, "You get what you put in this ish. It's not for the weak and the uncommitted." Handshake. So he looked like, I don't know if it's just a photo op, but in the picture he looked exhausted, like he had a hard training session. Hashtag big fish. He put the shark. Hashtag Pacquiao Spence, you know, big fish, man out, Fox pay-per-view. You see Genuine, J. Leon Love, PBC, Marlon Esparza. You got Olympians in there. Let's go. Takeaways. For starters, I've made a lot of videos. I'm hyped on this fight. Errol Spence, he's looking very lean. He's in beast-like shape. Errol Spence has already defied the odds. You know, and I hate to keep bringing up the accident, but it's now part of his progression as a man, as a fighter, as a human. And, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that he defied the odds, because you have to keep in mind, there was a point in time where people like Bob Arum were saying he would never be able to walk again, you know? And the great thing about Errol Spence is after the accident, he's just been like all systems go. He beat Danny Garcia up, in my opinion, and he made it look easy. So it really makes me wonder a couple things. And I like Danny Garcia. I know a lot of y'all hate on Danny Garcia and Angel Garcia. I speak the truth. Talk about Danny, champ of the world. Talk about Philly, right? I know y'all want to hate on Angel and Danny, but Danny got a killer resume. He's heavy-handed. Keith Thurman swears by his power, right? And Errol Spence, coming off accident, made it look kind of easy. There was a point towards the end where he looked like he got a little bit tired, but that was after a car wreck and physical therapy and a decent layoff. So imagine, it makes one think, look at what he did to Danny Garcia. Imagine if he never gotten that wreck, which I know he can't change the past and what's happened. Imagine if he never gotten that wreck though. If he did all that to Danny Garcia in the fight and had his eye looking all crazy. Imagine if he never went through trauma, you know, and was that same level of motivated. So all in all, Errol Spence, he's a beast. Now he has to obviously step it up. Pacquiao's a different caliber, different person, you know, an accomplished student of the game, 70 plus fights. They're both southpaws, totally different style. I will be covering this fight extensively and giving you guys the ins and outs. Before that, we got Wilder Fury, another fight on Fox pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to it. Real great boxing. But as far as Errol Spence, Ego Weight Watchers, aka Ill, where I personally give you guys a look into the fighter lifestyle before, after, and progress pics, especially when they have that upcoming fight. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Errol Spence. Hard work, dedication. I made a video about it. He's training in triple degree heat in Texas. And from my people in Texas, they tell me that ain't nothing new, you know. And I've been to Texas. I don't live there. I'm from Cali. I'm from California. But Texas gets hot and they have this crazy up and down, almost bipolar weather. And that's his new back piece. You guys see that? That's his new back piece. It looks clean. I don't know what inspired. I don't think anyone's asked him that, but I'd be anxious to ask Errol Spence what inspired some of the new tattoos. Like some of them are, he has one with the ancestry, and that one's self-explanatory. To this day, like Wilder said, yo people too. That one is self-explanatory, but I can't see everything, but I think he has like wings and stuff like that. So looks sick though. Looks dope. He got a portrait too of one of his fights on his leg. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, Errol Spence doing different things, slightly different things. He says it's my first day of hot yoga, and he says running and putting his miles in and being at the gym combined, he feels like he sweated more with the hot yoga. So for the latest and greatest in all your boxing coverage and boxing news, especially fights like Spence versus Pacquiao, Pacquiao versus Spence, y'all gotta subscribe to the channel. But you can see Errol Spence is really in shape, really lean, and this is a great thing. Like I feel like a lot of the PBC fighters, Errol Spence included, right, are the ones that have arrived at that level, like that are making the big bucks. Errol Spence, Gervonta, Wilder, they all seem to get it. They're all like clicking. They're all letting it click. They're all letting it click. You see what I'm saying? And what I mean is this. You notice Errol got this big fight coming up. He's been low. He's been real low. He hasn't been out and about. He hasn't been doing a bunch of IGTVs. Same thing with Wilder. Wilder, his trainer, and a couple of people are leaking little clips. PBC got a couple of little clips and stuff of Wilder training. But Wilder himself, he's doing like a few interviews, if that, and he's low. And the same thing Gervonta for his last fight with Mario Barrios. And I love to see it because I follow all these guys from PBC, Top Rank, DAZN guys. I follow all types of fighters, and the star players that are like at the level with PBC, they all seem to, maybe they have great teams or PR people, but they all seem to get it, and they're fine-tuned. The ones that have big fights and that have the chance to define their career with their next fights, Errol Spence, Wilder, Tank just had one, like I mentioned. They seem to be locked in. They seem to be locked in. Errol Spence, see, and this is what I like to see, because at the end of the day, I want to see a fair fight, a clean fight, and I want to see a fight that is fought where both people acquit themselves in the best possible way. So that's how you know in boxing when you get a true winner and a true victor, because Pacquiao, he trains hard. Errol Spence is not cutting any corners, and he's training hard. He's not having a fat camp from what it looks. I mean, there's no way if he's looking like shaped like this, it can't be a fat camp, because he still has until August and his weight looks dialed in. I'm showing you the pictures. I've done the Weight Watchers, right? So you could tell the man's in shape. That's all I can ask of a fighter is present your best foot forward, one foot in front of the other, and show up as prepared as possible, and maybe the best man win. Errol Spence, he's giving himself a real fighting chance. And I think either he knows it, or his people or his coach or whoever are in his ear letting him know, like, bro, if you beat Pacquiao, you on the steady incline. It's up. If it's up, then it's up. Then it's stuck. Pacquiao's a legend. That's going to go a long way. Now, I got some videos too coming about Terrence Crawford. That's a bad look for Terrence Crawford. I'm going to keep saying the same thing because this is my channel and I keep it truthful. Both of the guys Terrence Crawford says he wanted to fight are actually fighting each other. And Terrence Crawford, if you look at it, he's been super quiet. He hasn't had much to say about it. He hasn't had much to say about it at all. And his trainer was asked about Pacquiao Spence, and he said he don't give a F about the fight. Look, Terrence Crawford is selling fireworks or whatever this is. Every year I tell myself I'm not buying more fireworks because it's a waste of money, but every year I end up doing it. You know what I'm saying? But we looking for the fireworks for your opponent, you know what I mean? Because Crawford's a beast. So we want to see fireworks with you and Sean Porter, fireworks with Keith Thurman, fireworks with, Errol and Pacquiao didn't happen. But, that level of person. Some people were even looking forward to Virgil Ortiz. But like I said, back to the subject of this video, Errol Spence, his team, they did a good thing. And he's saying this ain't for the weak at heart. And I'm happy that it was Errol. I'm happy that it had to be him, because I've been in this boxing game for a while and it wasn't always like this. So Errol Spence is definitely an exercise in humility and an example of humility and waiting your turn when things aren't going your way. A lot of people, they get discouraged and then they give up and they're like, oh man, things aren't my way. But God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes you can want something, but maybe it didn't happen at that given time because it wasn't your time. And Errol Spence did not let things that could have easily had him discouraged and dejected and off on some other direction. He didn't allow that to stop his ultimate goal from getting what he said he wanted, right? Which is like big fights, unification fights, Pacquiao fights, stuff like that. Errol Spence, to summarize what I'm saying too, make sure you guys, again, throw a like on this video, is Errol Spence. He was the boogeyman, and now he's talking about, hey, tables turn. And it's true. He was the boogeyman. Keith Thurman, he couldn't get no smoke with him. He came in calling out Danny Garcia. Of course, he fought Danny Garcia. He fought Sean Porter, but that was years later. I'm talking about initially, people didn't seem they were chomping at the bit to give Errol Spence Jr. that opportunity. Keith Thurman was trying to little boy him, saying, oh, you got to fight a couple of names. And then he would do that. Then they said, oh, he fought Algieri, beat him better than Pacquiao because he stopped him, beat him better than Ruslan. And then they said, you got to fight more names. So he's fighting the Algieri. He fought Keith Thurman's leftovers, and Bundu did what Keith Thurman couldn't do. You know, he knocked out Chris Van Herdeen, who Jaron Ennis just fought recently, things like that. And once he accomplished one goal, they kept moving the field goal post for him. And they said, okay, you knocked out some people, but those weren't top quality guys. Get you a belt. And then he got a belt in the Keith Thurman fight in the UK, in Sheffield, somebody that Terrence Crawford just fought 3 years later. 3 years later, Crawford just fought him. Errol did that in like 2017 or whatever year it was, when Kell Brook was coming off a Golovkin loss, but that was at middleweight. He was undefeated at 147. So he was in prime at that division. And he had the belt. Keith Thurman was like, oh, it's my get back year. And I got in a bumper car accident, all this stuff. And Errol Spence stayed the course. That's the whole point I'm making. But it goes to show you, good things come to those who wait. Errol Spence, Kell Brook did the same thing. Let's be honest, bro. I've been in this boxing game for so long, so I remember all these moments because I made videos about them, or I'm at the fights. And let's talk about the chronological order. Kell Brook was fronting on Errol Spence. See, I can see right here, you can see he's already bigger right here than what he is now. I can see it in his face. But shout out to Clarissa Shields too. She a beast. All in all, Kell Brook was like saying he was the new Jeff Lacey, and why do Americans love him so much? He's not that good. And I guess he was supposed to be Kawasaki. And then you fought Errol and got beat up and stopped at home. And his career never really recovered after that point. You know what I'm saying? But Kell Brook was fronting on him too. So like I said, in closing, it's very good to see him finally get the fights that he's been pushing for. And like I said, good things come to those who wait. People try to front you off. And like he's saying, you get what you put in this ish. It's not for the weak, because a weaker person, a weak-minded person would have just been like, man, it's too hard. He couldn't get Kell Brook. Kell Brook was fronting on him. Konstantin Ponomarev. I don't even know where the hell he's even at in this world. I don't even know if he boxes anymore. But Konstantin Ponomarev was trained by Abel Sanchez, who at the time was training Gennady Golovkin. And quiet as kept, nobody talk about this. Konstantin Ponomarev ducked Errol Spence multiple times. And Abel Sanchez openly ducked and said, oh, Ponomarev's not ready for Errol. But old media, they didn't say nothing about that. But then they'll say Charlo's ducking Benavidez in another division. But whatever. So couldn't get the Kell Brook fight for a while. You know, he couldn't get none of the big fights. Ponomarev was ducking him. He couldn't get Kell Brook. I mean, yeah, I already said Kell Brook. Keith Thurman. You know, it was his get back year. And it was just Danny and Sean Porter at the time weren't showing too much interest in him either. So he earned it out the mud. Now, in closing, regarding Pacquiao, Pacquiao has a feud with the president of the Philippines, as you guys see. I'm not going to get into it. I actually need to verse myself a little bit more. I got the overflow of what's going on, but the president of the Philippines says Manny Pacquiao and President Duterte, once political buddies are suddenly throwing punches at each other, what happened? It says President Duterte tore into political ally and boxer Manny Pacquiao, calling him SHIT on Thursday, blah, blah, blah. He says the boxer turned senator was blubbering his mouth, right? So they beefing. They beefing, y'all. So I don't want to hear no excuses because I don't even think Pacquiao's in America right now. I don't know where. I guess he's training in the Philippines and he got this stuff. So please don't try to say, oh, him and Boo Boy were distracted. If Errol Spence loses, then he loses. If he wins, we can't have no excuses. We can't, because I can already see they talking about this political beef and stuff. I can already see people trying to go, oh, Pacquiao was distracted. This is what happens, especially when the black fighter wins. We know this. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Smash a like on the video. I'm the one. We work it. Peace.